everyone to my very first aviation video. Today we are going to be flying from Tri-Cities, Tennessee to Gatlinburg, Tennessee. This is all virtual, of course. In my flight simulator, as most of you know, I did obtain my private pilot certificate back in 1990. So it's been quite a few years. My last actual real-world flight was June 4th, 1992. Waiting on my medical. It got deferred for a medication reason. However, I don't foresee any issues with it. It should hopefully be approved. If not, I've already come off the medication. I can just start a whole new process, and it should be fairly simple at that point. But since I've already started the process and it's got deferred to the FAA, I have to wait for them to either approve it or deny it. But as far as I know, from what it sounds like, it should be approved. And again, if it's not, I can reapply now that I'm off medication. It won't be a problem. So, with that being said, meanwhile, I decided to, I'm jumping back in aviation full board, just going for it. Christine's on board with me. She has learned quite a bunch of info. She's learned a lot as far as regards to aviation. So she is going to do very well as a co-pilot, even though she won't be certified as a pilot, but she can will definitely be helping me with checklists and things like that. I'll be utilizing her as CRM, crew resource management, so she can help me when we're flying together in the real world. But for now, I'm brushing up on everything using the flight sim. It's a great training tool for procedural work, how to operate the aircraft, 8 different avionics, flight planning, all that good stuff. I do have a flight plan already set for us for Gatlinburg. I've done that on FliGht, which is an app that I use. You can see that here. It's going to be a very quick flight. It's going to take us about 25 minutes down to Gatlinburg. It's only 66 nautical miles from us. But that's, obviously that's where Dollywood is, and just a beautiful, beautiful area, Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. So my goal with this video is to kind of show you what flights are like. Even though it's a simulated flight, everything I do on this sim is up to the actual feeling the forces of nature on the aircraft is realistic. I go through the checklists, and there are many checklists. Just for the Beechcraft Bonanza that we'll be flying today, there's 14 checklists from start to finish. So quite a bit of things to do. You don't just hop in a plane, steer it, and take off. Safety is the #1 thing, so redundancy is big in aviation. We just want to make sure everything is safe. We go through the checklist. That way we ensure that every single procedure has been met. And when you leave the ground and start flying to the air, that you're doing so safely and that you've checked everything. And if something goes wrong, it wasn't on you, hopefully. Maybe it's a mechanical error. But we have checklists for that too, for emergency procedures, so we can re-land the aircraft in a safe manner. So with that being said, I will not show you every single checklist. We won't go through that on every single flight. It's just too time consuming. I want to try and retain your attention here so you can see what I've been up to, see what a real world or flight is like. I won't say real world because it's not quite real world yet. Someday hopefully it will be. And I want to take you along on these virtual flights and hopefully transition maybe within the next 6 months, hopefully, to a real world flight. And you can see what that's like, and hopefully you can ride along with us and fly with us eventually as well. I will have to go up with a certified flight instructor for a set number of hours. There's not really a set number of hours. It's just until that certified flight instructor, commonly referred to as a CFI, feels comfortable that I've got proficient and recurrent in being a pilot in command of an aircraft. He'd sign me off, and then I'd be perfectly legal to start flying again on my own. So as far as the simulator, I'm just using it as a training tool. It's a great training resource. Like I said, it's really helped me dive back into everything. I've gotten all the manuals, checklist procedures for different types of aircraft, the aircraft that I'll be flying in when I fly real world again. I've just dived back into everything. I've taken online ground school again, completed that, and just relearning everything there is about aviation. So to try and keep it short and sweet here, we're going to make this flight to Gatlinburg. We will be flying today in the Beechcraft Bonanza, not the Cessna 172, which I can show you here. The Cessna 172 is a training aircraft. It's also a lot of people do own them and use them as their personal aircraft. So it's a kind of a good starter aircraft, I guess. Or it's a bit slow. Cruises about 105 knots. I'm looking at my notes here to do the translations, but 105 knots translates to 121 miles per hour. For my family and friends up north in Canada, that is 194 kilometers per hour. So as I've been doing longer flights on the flight sim, I've upgraded and trained myself in the Beechcraft Bonanza. Real world, I'd have to do the same thing. I can't train myself. If you want to fly into a higher performance aircraft, you'd have to go up with the certified flight instructor that's certified in that aircraft for a few hours until you get that type rating, and then you'd be able to fly the aircraft. However, Beechcraft Bonanza is much faster than the Cessna 172. It cruises at about 160 knots, which translates to about 184 miles per hour or 296 kilometers per hour. So you can see the difference there. That's why I enjoy flying this a lot during my sessions in the flight simulator, because I do fly long legs and I'd rather do a little bit faster than slower. Additionally, with that being said too, another thing with the flight simulator is today we're not going to be using any kind of air traffic control. It's all computerized. We're on this side of the country through the sim. It's not quite realistic. So I'll be simulating radio calls. However, the next flight you fly with me, we will be using a company called Pilot Edge, and they offer real air traffic control within the simulator. But as you can see here, it's only on the west coast of the United States. So I do a lot of my flying in the sim there, so I can utilize that real world air traffic control and get that experience of talking back on the radio. Someday, hopefully, though, we will fly from Tennessee to California, fly up the West Coast, and hopefully fly up to Victoria in our own aircraft. That's my goal, hopefully, someday. So with that all being said, let's jump into the aircraft. Again, I can do other little videos to explain a lot of the different things I'll be utilizing. But for now, let's try and keep this video short and sweet. We'll make that quick flight down to Gatlinburg. I'll edit stuff out, edit some of the checklists, but be sure that I've gone through every single checklist I'm supposed to, as far as so I can stay for redundancy, and I can stay make it a habit, and that way I continue to do that every single flight to be very safe in the air.
All right, here we are sitting in Beechcraft Bonanza, November 527 Mike Sierra. That's the tail number for this aircraft. All right, I'm going to get this thing started and we're going to get on our way here. Go through my checklist. Clear prop and start her up. Perfect. Start her up. I'm going to pick up my ATIS, which stands for Automatic Traffic Information Service for this towered airport. That's going to give me my weather, and I'm going to need to pick up the phonetic letter that is associated with it, since they change them every hour, and give that to ground control when I first contact them. So you'll be able to watch me on my iPad pick up the ATIS information in my notes. Switch over to that.
Tri-Cities Regional TNVA Information Zulu 1540 Zulu. Wind up. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions view at 6,000. View at 19,000. Temperature 11. Dew point -1. Altimeter 29092. Arriving runways 2309. Departing runways 2309. Advise on initial contact you have information Zulu.
Alrighty, we picked up our ATIS information Zulu. I'm going to make a call to ground, and we'll taxi on over to our run-up area where I'll check the engine to make sure it's running properly. Go over a checklist there as well, which I'll edit it out. It'll take too long. Just be sure that the checklist will have been completed, and then we'll get to the runway and get on our way to Gatlinburg. So first radio calls go something like this. Tri-Cities Ground, Bonanza, November 527 Mike Sierra. At the T Hangars General Aviation ramp with information Zulu, ready for taxi. They'd come back and give us our taxi instructions, and we'll be on our way. Clear left, clear right, no other aircraft, other parked aircraft. Vision jets off to our right, which is past my dream airplane. I don't think I'm going to be able to afford one of those, though. They're a little over $2 million. Move Moving on over here to my run-up area. We are checking flight controls. Checking flight controls. We're going to check left first. Left aileron turning to left, left aileron's up. Turning to the right, left aileron's down. Good to go. And we're going to zoom in here a little bit so we can just kind of peek out the window. Right aileron turning to the right is up. Right aileron turning to the left is down. Perfect. Turn around. Elevators move freely, and I'm wiggling the rudder, and that feels good. Flight controls are free and correct. Making our way to runway 23. As I pull up here, I'm double checking to make sure this is runway 23 as shown on the pavement here, painted. And I'm also looking at the sign to the left advising me. Sorry. This sign over here to the left. Black background, yellow letter, that's the taxiway Alpha. That's what we're on. We're on runway 23 here. 5 is from the opposite direction of this runway. I'm now switching over to tower. And advising tower we are ready for takeoff. Radio call goes something like this. Tri-Cities Tower, Bonanza November 527 Mike Sierra, holding short of 23 at Alpha, ready for a westbound departure. They come back with probably three things. One is either hold short for landing traffic, the other would be line up and wait, or like the final one which we are going to receive now is 527 Mike Sierra, you are cleared for takeoff runway 23, fly runway heading. So we are clear. Alright, let's get on our way to Gatlinburg. As I enter the runway, I'm checking to the left, making sure there's no other aircraft coming in on final, just to double check for redundancy, even though tower gave me clearance, and final is clear. Turning right onto the runway, confirming again, it is runway 23 as seen painted on the runway here. Line up best as I can here on the center line. And quick disclaimer, my rudder pedals that I purchased are not the best. Good rudder pedals for a sim cost around $500 or $600. I did not want to spend that money, so bear with me as I try to steer the aircraft on the ground with which I didn't mention to you earlier. We steer with rudder pedals on the ground. So if it's a little squirrely, bear with me, take it with a grain of salt. It's a simulator, it's not real world. Real world's completely different. It's a lot easier to steer the aircraft on the ground. Alright, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's head on out to Gatlinburg. Power is coming up. Power set and achieved. All engine instruments are in the green. We're looking good there. Airspeed's alive. 50. 60. Looking for 70. 70, rotate. So let's get airborne. Up we go. Climbing out. No useful runway left. We have a positive rate of climb. Gear coming up. Alright, so this is a very quick flight. I'm going to let you enjoy some of the screenshots or screen videos of the flight, and I will get back with you as we're coming into Gatlinburg. Enjoy!
Give me the beat, boys.
1,000 to go. One thing I failed to mention in regards to the comms, communications, Gatlinburg Pigeon Forge Airport is a non-controlled airport, meaning there's no tower, so basically it's pilot controlled, utilizing a common traffic advisory frequency, as you see here, 123.0. I will be making radio calls in the blind to anybody that is in the area. However, the sim right now has no other aircraft in the area, but we will do it anyways to stay proficient. And so, first radio call to Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg traffic, Bonanza 527 Mike Sierra, approximately 7 miles to the northeast, inbound for a left downwind entry for runway 10 Gatlinburg. And next radio call, Gatlinburg traffic, Bonanza 527 Mike Sierra, entering on a left downwind for runway 10 Gatlinburg traffic. As my wing comes abeam the numbers, that's when I will lower the landing gear. Zero beam the numbers, landing gear coming down. Three green lights, landing gears down. Looking over my left shoulder with the runway, it's about 45 degrees off my left shoulder behind me. I'll make my turn to left base. So now, Gatlinburg traffic, Bonanza number 527 Mike Sierra, making a left turn to left base, Gatlinburg traffic. First notch of flaps coming in. And turning to final. Gatlinburg traffic. Bonanza number 527 Mike Sierra. Turning final for runway 10 Gatlinburg. Overshot slightly, no big deal. We're going to pick her up here with the next notch of flaps. We're going to stabilize this approach. 4 white lights, meaning I'm a little high for the glide path, but that is okay. I'd rather be high than low. We have plenty of runway. Plus we have trees here to contend with. Watching my speed come down. So far everything's looking good. Power slightly coming back. Power's coming back. Runway's made. Transitioning. Holding it off that runway, and there's our touchdown. On the brakes, the exit coming up. Slow enough for the turn. Radio call as we get completely off the runway, past the hold bars, come to a stop. Gatlinburg traffic, Bonanza number 527 Mike Sierra. We're off the active Gatlinburg traffic. Radio call, Gatlinburg traffic, Bonanza 527 Mike Sierra. We'll be taxiing to the FBO and taxiway Alpha from Delta 1, Gatlinburg. Left, checking right. It's all clear. Making that turn and head down to the FBO. Welcome to Gatlinburg, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that flight, that virtual flight. Kind of on a nice looking F4 Phantom to our right. Was in service during the Vietnam War. Pretty sure that's a museum piece now. I don't know if it's actually at the real airport. I'll have to look into that or find out when we fly down there for the first time for real. Taxiing down to the FBO. FBO standing for Fixed Base Operator. They provide all kinds of types of services. Fuel, parking, transportation. Sometimes they'll let you use a crew car for a day. They usually have a pilot's lounge with snacks, drinks, coffee, resources, Wi-Fi, so you can get on there and plan flights, check weather and all that stuff. I actually used to work at one when I was young, before I got on with the Highway Patrol. I was a fuel man, a fuel lineman, as we would call ourselves. And I ended up managing the line guys as well right before I left that job. Nobody here at the airport. That's awesome. Hopefully Dollywood will not be busy as well. So we'll just park out front. Come here to a stop. There we go. Brakes coming on. Shutdown checklist. There, check. Make sure you're coming idle cutoff. That's how we shut the engine off, by starving it of fuel. And check there. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope it's going to be short enough to keep your attention span. Again, I can do other videos that describe different aspects or different things. Maybe just show one check checklist video. I don't know. But I think the next one I do will definitely be utilizing Pilot Edge over there on the West Coast, so you guys can see or hear what real-world air traffic control sounds like. Alrighty, so again, I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all later.